With her brand new blonder locks, we barely recognize Dr. Dawn Harper when we meet her in a coffee shop in London. But her statement glamour is hard to miss. I could never come into London in jeans and a jumper, she explains. It has to be heels all the way. I'm too short for flats, they make me look dumpy. We don't agree with that, but Dawn certainly is petite.Dressed in an elegant black shift dress, black heels and plenty of statement sparkly jewellery. She's warm, approachable and very lovely. Everything you'd want your GP to be.But. Most people don't just go from doing their day job to suddenly doing it in front of 3.5 million viewers, which, at the height of its run, was what embarrassing bodies would draw in every week. But did anyone ever doubt she was a real doctor once she swapped the waiting room for the glitz of primetime TV? Initially, yes, she smiles. One of the first ever recordings we did was with a young lady who had a gynaecological issue. I did a smear and a swab, and when I explained we'd have to wait for the results, she said, "Wait, you're a real doctor?" I had to sit her down and explain that if I wasn't, what I'd just done to her was abuse. But she just said I looked too glam to be a doctor, so that's a compliment, I suppose. Having worked as a GP for 18 years now, a chance meeting saw her being approached to appear on a new TV show back in 2007, and her life changed forever. The biggest difference was everyone wanting a doctor's appointment in public all of a sudden, she laughs. It's a lot of, do you mind if I show you this, with shirts up, boobs out, even in a restaurant, supermarket or the theatre. It's very un-English, but I always do it. It only takes me a couple of minutes to advise someone. So where is the weirdest place she has been recognized? The first time was the weirdest. I was in a gym with my daughter, who must have been early teens at the time. She told me to get in a cubicle as we were getting changed and I said, "But, sweetheart, we're all the same." She just said, "Everyone has phones, though." And, lo and behold, someone asked me for a picture when I was half-dressed. So listen to your children. She was right. Dawn lives a rural life in Gloucestershire with partner Jack. The pair started dating in 2015 after Dawn left her husband of 20 years, and she has 3 children: Charlie, 24, Harvey, 21, and Eleanor, 13, although none of them has followed her into medicine. I often wonder if embarrassing bodies put them off, to be honest, she says sadly. Like the rest of the nation, they were thinking, this is disgusting. So maybe it wasn't the best advert for them. Sometimes I do hope me taking that job didn't deny them that career path.But. They're all very successful in different ways. Does she like to watch herself on telly? I'm very self-critical and think you can learn from it. I definitely watched myself back on the Island with Bear Grylls, although I spent most of the time screaming at the telly because it was so much worse than they made it seem. Dawn took on the challenge of the Celebrity Island back in 2010 with the likes of Dom Jolie and Tom Evans and was criticized for allowing her campmates to drink so much salt water. Well, there is no fresh water off-screen, let me tell you, she says wide-eyed. It's real, and you do things you wouldn't normally do in order to survive. between 14 of us, we had about 4 fish and 2 turkeys over 14 days. I lost a stone. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And there's a reason why you'll never find a limpet on a posh restaurant menu. It's like chewing old tires. Throughout our chat, Dawn avoids caffeine and sips on water and tells us she's had a very healthy breakfast, as she does every day, and looks years younger than her 55 years, with glowing skin and not a wrinkle to be seen. So was it hard as a medical professional to put her health through so much stress on the island? You're exhausted, dehydrated, starving, but it's the nights that killed me. The darkness was overpowering, and I never dared move if I heard a scary noise, as I didn't want to wake anyone. Plus, I just had to trust that not everything was okay at home and try to switch off. Before you go in, you write down what circumstances they must take you off the island for. I said if my mum died or my family needed me. I remember saying to campmate Ollie Locke from Mate in Chelsea the night before we left the island, I wonder what's happened, the Queen could have died. Then he said, well, she hasn't. I said to get me out straight away if anything happened to the Queen. She is our monarch. I just thought that was very sweet. Worrying over the Queen aside, we bet Dawn dishes out some pretty good health advice to her children. Doctors fall into 2 camps, some who are quite matter-of-fact, and some who think every headache is a brain tumor. But I go through phases. If things are going well, I expect it to all go belly up. I've been very lucky with my health, but I try to be realistic. So the occasional neurotic worry happens when it comes to my family, but that's like all mothers. The second you get a positive pregnancy test, you'll just feel guilty and worried. That never, ever stops. Clearly a homebody whose family is very much her main priority, she receives endless texts from her children as we chat. Dawn still finds time to dip her toe in the celeb life. I don't think I'd ever get used to getting my makeup done and wearing pretty dresses to events, she tells us. When we won a BAFTA for embarrassing bodies, my legs were shaking and I was starstruck all night, but if I'm on set and someone wants a cuppa, I'll put the kettle on quicker than anybody else, she assures us. Modest, we try to press her to tell us about some of the best freebies she's ever received. Well, it's a good position to try and blag jobs in good locations. If someone could just hire me to speak on a cruise or something, that'd be a nice free holiday, she smiles coyly. But I would never give up my day job. I tease what I trained to do, and I love it. I know the NHS staff find it a lot less enjoyable these days, but it keeps me in touch with what really matters and what people really go through. And the phone could stop ringing tomorrow, but I still have a mortgage to pay, she says honestly. As Dawn prepares to leave for some very exciting TV meetings, we make sure we get the chance to ask her for some health advice. What's the one thing we could all do to live longer, happier lives? Interestingly, she's just finished a new book in which she interviewed plenty of centenarians. Surely the best people to ask. The one thing these people all had in common was they had positive outlooks on life and never lost touch with family or friends. And these people had all been through huge stresses in life. They lived through 2 wars for a start. As women, We so often put ourselves at the bottom of the agenda, but we must make time for ourselves. We must remember what really matters to live a happy long life. No one reaches the pearly gates and thinks, "I wish my carpets were cleaner and I'd spent more time at work." Now that's some advice we're happy to take. Sunday is the only day we don't set alarms. But my idea of a lie-in is different to most. I'm usually up at 5:30 a.m, so I'm up by 8 a.m. latest. Breakfast in bed or brunch out. We have a treat breakfast at home of smoked salmon and scrambled eggs, and I always do my little exercises before I eat it. I'm not strong enough for sit-ups, so I call them shoulder-ups. I always do half an hour of managing my diary, but then we'll walk the dog and do 15-20 miles on our bikes. Lunch-in or Sunday roast out. We like to stroll down to the local pub for a glass of wine, then it's either a roast in the winter or a BBQ in the summer. I'm the most irritating person because I don't think I've ever had a real hangover in my life. I went to a 40th birthday party years ago and we were up until 4 a.m. I got up in the morning at 8:30 a.m. to ride my horse. I'm always fine. I've never even had a hangover headache. National Union Day, launched by Soul Bliss Shoes and their brand ambassador Dr. Dawn Harper, is on 26 April 2018.